What you're looking at right here are possibly my new favorite earbuds, the brand new Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 4s. But don't be fooled if they look familiar. These have more than a dozen enhancements compared to the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3s. They have things like aptX lossless, auracast, a fantastic design improvement I'll talk about in a second, new colors, and quite a few other tricks up their sleeve that make these a very, very competitive pair of premium earbuds. And in the premium earbuds realm, a lot of earbuds out there are nearly perfect. Some of them might be missing like one little thing here and there, and I've built a checklist for what I think would be the perfect pair of earbuds. Now, these check off a lot of those boxes. We're gonna go through that in this video, and we'll find out which ones they might not be getting right and what is absolutely nailed with these earbuds. But I wanna start off with the design. Something that I've always really liked about Sennheiser earbuds, I've always been a fan, first of all, of the case design. It's a little bit larger than I would like, but I like the fabric on the outside. They now have 3 colors. They have like a silver and white, they have a graphite and black, and then this one right here is copper and black. And this is a new color here. I think it looks really nice. Of course, the earbuds case charges with Qi wireless charging. It is incredibly fast, so now you can charge up in just 8 minutes. You'll get 1 hour of listening from wireless charging on this case. Of course, you could also use USB Type-C on the front, and when you open it up, like I said, very familiar design on the case, and the earbuds themselves also look essentially identical to the True Wireless 3s. But despite the similar design language, there are some significant changes. For one, we do have these nice little wingtips on the top, call them fins if you will. So while many Sennheiser earbuds, I find them to be very comfortable, and I'll talk about the comfort of these in a second, the silicone wingtip there will help to keep them in your ears if you're doing anything more dynamic. And the ear tips themselves are also slightly different as well. If you remember in the past, they used to have kind of a plus design in the middle, which I don't want to sound gross, but like it was something else that you had to clean out. Sometimes it gets dirty, and so this new design, like the ear tips are just different here, so they should be easier to clean and keep your earbuds hygienic. On the inside, of course, you can see your LED, your 4 nodes that connect to the case, your sensor to detect when they're in or out of your ear. These do have autoplay and auto pause, which I really like to see. And of course, we have 3 microphones around the earbud and a touch control on the outside. We're getting 7.5 hours of battery, claimed 7.5 hours on the earbuds, and 30 hours when you include the case, which is pretty fantastic, but that depends on how you're using these, what codec you're using, if ANC is on or adaptive or anything like that. So there's a lot that could be changed right there. Oh, and these now also have an IP54 certification, which means they've always been IPX4, which means they're water resistant, so that's still similar, but now we have that dust resistance as well on the earbuds. IP54, it's just kind of nice to see. Now, talking about the fit and the comfort of these, I have 2 different categories right there. The fit is going to be how well they stay in my ears. In the past, I could wear Sennheiser earbuds for a while, like a pretty long time, unless it was like really hot or if your ears got even a little bit sweaty. If you're working out, for example, they tend to slide out of my ears. But with these fins on there, and there are 3 total sizes, 2 other sizes in the box, you're able to really grab the inside of your ear a lot better. And I find that they don't move around really much at all. In fact, I wore these on a plane ride. It was a 6-hour flight. It was a red-eye flight. And I kid you not, there was a crying baby on the seat immediately in front of me. So these were absolutely essential to sleeping during that flight and just having some quiet peace of mind. And I'm happy to say it actually worked really well. I slept with these for 3 hours. I was hanging out, watching movies. I didn't even have to take them out of my ears for basically the entire flight. So fit and comfort, absolutely fantastic on these earbuds, at least for me. Now, obviously everybody has different ear geometry, and I think the benefit of the wingtip is that it kind of helps to adapt to different ears out there. 4 different ear tips, 3 different wingtips. They should fit most people. All right, so now talking about the sound quality of these earbuds, there's a lot to really like. And I think it's probably one of the main reasons you would be buying these earbuds, because I would say, I mean, pretty bold claim here, pretty strong claim, but they're arguably going to be the best sounding Bluetooth earbuds on the market right now. So talking about why that is. First of all, you're able to adjust them and EQ them in many different ways. Of course, you have personalized profiles, you've got the 5-band EQ, you can do things like sound zones, and I'll show you all of that in the app later, or you can choose from some pre-configured EQs that Sennheiser already made. In addition, we have Snapdragon sound, thanks to the S5 Gen 2 platform on here, which gives us some really great codecs like aptX lossless, which gives you essentially lossless audio with really low latency as well. And these do support up to 24-bit audio, 900 or 96 kilohertz. You do have to get a firmware, so out of the box, they're not like that. You have to get the firmware update, which in the app you can easily get. I already have that, and I've been testing that, and they really sound quite impressive. In addition, if you go over to the low latency mode, the claimed low latency, or the latency, is 20 milliseconds, so that should be pretty solid for gaming as well. But actually listening to these, I mean, it's no surprise. I've always been a big fan of Sennheiser's sound signature. I think it sounds really good to me. It's very articulate. Everything sounds really, really natural. Tons of instrument separation. And it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, I think a lot of people using these earbuds, even if you wouldn't consider yourself an audiophile, I think most people out there would absolutely hear the difference between these and a much more lossy, compressed pair of earbuds. So just wearing these, if nothing else, even if you don't know what to listen for, the music's just going to sound better. As long as you're using something like Tidal or just downloaded audio files, which is what I usually do, you're going to be like, it sounds really quite impressive. The bass is very clean. It doesn't eclipse anything. You don't have, you do have really nice instrument separation. You have a really nice soundstage as well. And overall, like, I just find it very, very pleasant to listen to any genre of music with these earbuds. In addition, like I said, the many different EQ options you have in the app just make it a lot easier to find exactly how you want to listen. Now talking about the active noise cancellation. Obviously, when you're buying an expensive pair of earbuds such as these, the ANC is going to be a really important aspect for travel, for working, for focusing, for whatever. These have what they're calling adaptive ANC, and I'll show you the app later. There's two different modes. You can have wind blocking mode, and you can have adaptive ANC mode. Now, I personally wish that we were able to just crank it to max ANC, but I suppose it's for battery purposes. They have adaptive ANC. So the way this works is if you're in a semi-quiet environment, maybe there's just a fan, it'll recognize that and adjust the volume of your ANC. So it blocks out the fan, but it's not absolutely cranking ANC and really, using a lot of battery power. If you're in a louder environment, it will block a lot more out. So like I said, I was on that flight. It blocked a pretty decent amount of sound. But if I'm just sitting at my desk, one small complaint is that I can't max it out. So I still hear like my keys typing, even though it blocks the fan and stuff like that. Just a little bit strange. Maybe it's a personal thing for me. But I actually did my typical white noise test where I play the sound of a jet at a set distance away, and I see at what level the earbuds are no longer able to block that out. Then I measure that volume in decibels, and you can kind of compare between multiple different pairs of earbuds here, just the relative magnitude of that. So you can see that chart right here. I also did the same with a speech test, so higher pitched voices are generally a lot more difficult for earbuds to block out with ANC, and passive noise blocking plays a bigger role there. These definitely did not do as well in that category, specifically because they don't have foam ear tips. Of course, you could always go out and buy some Comply foam ear tips, for example, and that would really drastically increase that score there. All right, and then getting into the transparency of these earbuds. There's some things I really like about them. Like for one, you can choose in your settings if you want this enabled or not, but I have it enabled, and that is a setting that allows you to automatically pause your music when you turn on transparency. So if I'm on a train and somebody's talking to me, conductor comes over and wants to ask my ticket or whatever, I could, use the controls on my earbud to enable transparency, and that'll pause my music. If you don't like that, you could just disable that in settings, but I think that's really cool that that is available. Additionally, the transparency has a slider in the app that is pretty continuous, so you can choose any level you want, not just like low, medium, high, but it really is a nice slider. And it's actually very natural sounding. So it doesn't sound robotic or compressed by any means. I can hear everything I'm saying, everything everyone else is saying. That's the good aspect of the transparency, and I really like that. It doesn't sound quite as natural as Bose or AirPods transparency does, but for all intensive purposes of hearing your surroundings, I think it's very passable. The only thing I don't really like about the transparency is when you turn it up to higher levels, at least for my earbuds right now, with the current codecs I'm using, there's like a little feedback or like a chirping, a hissing kind of sound in my left ear right now that is a little bit annoying. It doesn't always happen, but for the past maybe minute or two, I've noticed that definitely is happening. But transparency overall, I would say, is pretty decent. Okay, so by the way, these are obviously a premium pair of earbuds, but it's a very competitive landscape. So I want to ask you, which earbuds should I compare these to? The AirPods, the Sonys, Bose? Let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, definitely get subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss those videos. I'm definitely going to have at least 1 or 2 comparisons with these earbuds and some of the best out there, depending on whichever one gets the most comments down below. All right, so now let's get into a microphone test. These are the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 4 microphones. Of course, Sennheiser has made some pretty big claims saying that they really improved the call quality on this model. Right now, I'm in the studio, so of course, this is going to be probably as easy as it could possibly get for the microphones. But I'm going to go outside into a louder environment. Just say you're walking on a sidewalk near a busy road, and we'll see how these actually perform when there's a little bit more noise and a little bit more wind as well. But definitely leave a comment and let me know how these sound to you in this indoor environment. All right, so now for the outdoor microphone test, I'm obviously on a busy street in New York. A bus just went by. It's also breezy out here. There's a lot of noise, so this should be a pretty difficult environment for these earbuds. But let me know how these microphones perform. In my opinion, from my own testing so far, it's definitely better than the previous generation. Probably not the best on the market, but is it passable? Let me know what you think. All right, so far, these are checking off a lot of boxes. There's a lot that I really like about them, but one of the big categories, the big bins that I think really sets these earbuds apart, or really any earbuds apart from others, are going to be the features that it comes with. So the first one that I think is very exciting and definitely makes these quite future-proof is auracast. Now, out of the box, you're not getting this. It is going to be a firmware update, but essentially auracast is a really cool new feature that isn't everywhere just yet, but is absolutely going to be rolling out to many more like TVs and maybe like I don't know. You can think of many different situations, but in essence, it's going to allow basically infinite or unlimited devices to connect to each other with Bluetooth. So you could have one TV and a bunch of people connected to that same TV using their Bluetooth earbuds, as long as they all have auracast. You could do the same thing potentially maybe in like an airport with airport announcements. There's a lot of different ways you can actually use this, but I think in the future, auracast is going to be pretty big. Right now, like I said, it's not everywhere, but having that on these earbuds is definitely going to make them much more future-proof as that starts to roll out on more and more devices in the future. Many different ways you can use that. These do also, like I said, have some great codecs on there because they do have Bluetooth 5.4 as well. So we're getting the latest Bluetooth capabilities on these. Fortunately, they do have multi-point connectivity, so I connected to two phones at the same time, and like I'm listening to music on one, if I get a phone call on the other, it'll automatically switch. I think that's not the most relatable use case, I think a probably more relatable use case for most people is going to be your laptop and your phone, right? If you're working on your laptop, watching a video, listening to music, whatever, then you get a phone call. That seamless switching is so nice. Additionally, in the Sennheiser app, you are able to choose which device they are connected to, much like how Bose does that. So if you have maybe multiple devices, not just two, you can choose which ones these earbuds are actually connecting to without having to turn Bluetooth off on your laptop, for example. They do have autoplay and auto pause, so I think that's very useful for podcasts. If I ever take the earbuds out, it'll automatically pause and I don't have to worry about losing my spot. There is something really cool called battery protection mode as well. So Sennheiser had a pretty long journey with their battery several generations ago. I think the first generation, it was kind of around in the second gen as well. They had a battery drain problem. So now Sennheiser just focusing a little bit more on their battery longevity on these earbuds. So battery protection mode doesn't charge it all the way up because charging a battery to 100% is actually not good for it. So you can choose if that setting's on or off. And kind of speaking of that, let's actually get into the app. I'll show you where that is and kind of show you some other things on the app as well. All right, so right now you can see they're connected to my Pixel 8 Pro right here, but on the top you can see connection management. If I tap on that, you can switch between whichever devices you want. Like I said, it automatically switches between two, but if you have your laptop and a bunch of other things, you can control that right here. If we go back, you can see my sound. So right now I just have the equalizer set up. I haven't actually done anything different here, but you could put it in like a podcast mode, bass boost. You could have custom presets on the top. And if you tap the little down arrow, you can see we've got, some presets that Sennheiser made for us as well. If we go back, you could instead do the sound personalization, which is going to walk you through a little test where they say, like, can you hear this? And they have different things, and they kind of test based on your own ear geometry what the best sound profile is going to be for you. So that's really cool. I personally just keep it on the equalizer. Out of the box, they actually sound quite good with very little edits even needed to that. Down here we can see the adaptive noise cancellation. There are 3 levels: the off, the anti-wind, and of course on. So anti-wind might be useful if you're walking outside near if it's windy outside just in general and there's a busy road, you want to block it out, that could be useful. Transparency level, like I said, you can see it is basically a continuous slider. Anywhere I stop, hold on, let me turn it up so I don't end up yelling. It stops there. So I can't tell exactly how many stops there are, maybe 20 stops on there or something like that, but it's essentially continuous, which I think is quite nice. There's that setting I talked about before to automatically pause when you turn on transparency mode. You can customize your touch controls as well. And what I really like about these earbuds, something that I think every other pair of earbuds needs to copy, is the ability to customize every single control. Single, double, triple press, and press and hold can all be customized on either earbud. Other earbuds out there usually only allow you to customize just the tap and hold. And I don't know why. Like, it just makes sense that you could customize everything. So I have a single tap on the left, turning on ANC. I have triple tap on the left, turning on transparency, which pauses my music and I can hear my surroundings as well. And so any one of these you could tap and you could see we've got about maybe a dozen different options we can put in there. So let's go back. And going down, you can see there is the fit test as well. That's common on many earbuds. And we can set up sound zones as well. So if you say new sound zone, it's going to be based on where you are. You have to register them. I'm not going to set that up during this video, but you can have some different settings for different environments that you go to. And then, of course, if we go to settings on the bottom right, you can tap on settings, and here we have quite a few other things. You can choose the audio resolution. I think this is really cool that they add that in here. If your phone allows higher resolution codecs, that is great, and you can turn on lossless, or even just high res, for example, or low latency as well if you're trying to do some gaming, or you could just leave it on standard. So the one thing you have to note is when you're switching between these, you have to take the earbuds out, put them in the case, and then put them back in. Kind of have to restart the earbuds like that. I had them on lossless pretty much all day until I started filming this video, and I absolutely love that. It's absolutely incredible and just totally worth it. I think it's, if you don't have the firmware update and you have these earbuds, definitely check this and make sure you have that update. Then we have battery eco right here. This is going to last it, make it last a little longer by, like I said, using some lower resolution codecs. And we can see what the codecs are right there. I don't have any audio streaming right now, so there's no relevant codec to talk about. You could auto accept calls just by taking them out of the case. That's really cool, something that I like to do quite often. And we could choose if we want them to power off at any point. If we go down here, see where it is, battery protection. That's what I was talking about, to make sure that this lasts as long as possible. And I think that's kind of a big theme with these earbuds, is to be a little bit more future-proof. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you about the app. Let's talk about, in general, there's a lot that I really like about these earbuds. They basically check every single box I would look for, but there are a couple drawbacks. Kind of highlighting what I think the drawbacks might be. One, the case is still a little bit large. For 2024, I don't think this profile is really bad, but I wish it was like a little bit slimmer just so it could fit in your pocket a little better, but not a huge complaint there. I think the redesign last year was great, and I think the way the earbuds themselves actually look and feel and fit is really quite good. They're not necessarily ideal for running or working out, like they're still a little bit large for that, and they don't have physical buttons, but I mean, hey, Sennheiser also has the Momentum Sport earbuds, which are meant for that, obviously. These are going to be more for around the house, in your office, commuting, on a plane, whatever, just not running and stuff like that. Not to say you can't run with them, but that's not really what they were designed for. Another small drawback is that auracast is not actually available yet. It's coming out on a firmware update, so I never buy things on the promise that something's coming out, but I'm hoping that it definitely will come out. We just don't know until we actually have it. Technically, a drawback is that these are $50 more than the previous generation. Sennheiser was playing around to price a little bit. The first two generations were $300, then they went down to $250 last year with the third gen, and then this year back up to $300. I don't really think that's a big deal, because if you account for inflation, the first two generations would be like $350 or more today. So I think $300, even though that's definitely a steep price, for what these are doing are kind of competitive, I would say, are pretty similar to what the competition is. But in conclusion on these earbuds, I absolutely love how they sound. There's really no other earbuds out there that, in my opinion, sound as good as these with Bluetooth. They're genuinely more future-proof as well, having auracast coming soon, hopefully, as well as, like I said, the battery longevity features, the really high-resolution codecs on them. These are a pair of earbuds that I think you could buy and keep them for quite a few years in the future. I think that's kind of a common theme in a lot of tech now as well. We're seeing longer updates on phones and things like that. And, I mean, pretty much everything on my checklist exists here. Sennheiser, like, absolutely nailed it. And Sennheiser, if you're watching this, absolutely great job on this one. The only things I would like to see next year or the year after on a future generation would be better active noise cancellation and maybe like a better locating feature. If you lose these earbuds, there's not a great way to use like ultra wideband, for example, like you can on the AirPods, to navigate and find out where they are. But for me personally, I haven't actually ever lost them, but I don't know. That's just me. I think I might be losing them someday in the future. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.